universities which exist, or I would say coexist together on this Earth's environment. Therefore, the present day actually is focusing on one of the important areas where we need to actually think a lot, because we with this spread of plastics have extended its use much beyond what was required. And particularly, I would say the single-use plastics, which are not recyclable and reusable, has caused a lot of problems in our Earth's environment, be it the territorial or terrestrial environment, or be it the river or the ocean sides. Everywhere the plastics, they have caused a lot of problems in terms of pollution, and this pollution cannot be dealt well until unless we stop using these single-use plastics or non-recyclable or reusable plastics in our day-to-day activities. In this regard, Honorable Prime Minister of India actually launched a campaign last year on 20th October, which was termed as LIFE. LIFE, he meant living or lifestyle for environment. So we have to live in harmony with the environment without harming the environment, and also nurturing it well, conserving, protecting, and preserving the basic vital resources in terms of land, water, and air, which are being polluted through the use of such materials like plastics, which cause not only the solid waste management problems, but also problems in terms of its disposal, where the gases, toxic gases, they get released from these plastics and cause pollution even in the air, which doesn't mean worth breathing. And therefore, we have to think about the alternatives which are more natural in origin and in terms of resource generations, and also limits its use to the limited extents without harming the nature's environment. With this, I would also like to highlight, because the webinar is focusing on industrial and environmental DRR, the major disaster that happened in Bhopal on the midnight of 2nd and 3rd December 1984, which in fact in India brought a new change and an era of environmental impact assessment. With that event, the government of India actually established a new ministry called Environment and Forestry Ministry, which later on renamed as Environment, Forest and Climate Change Ministry. Actually, an act was also passed during the year 1986 subsequent to that event, and therefore a lot of actions were initiated in terms of environmental conservation, preservation, and protection through the various clauses and provisions under the Environment Act 1986. My colleague told you about the Disaster Management Act 2005. It is further strengthening the goals, policies, and the principles of environment law, which were actually discussed during the Environment Act, Protection Act 1986. We have started the environment audit systems. We have started the disaster risk management assessments, as well as adequate actions, early warning, and alert systems in terms of common alert protocols. And we have also prepared ourselves against the unexpected, uncertain, and unforeseen events that can happen around us. Disasters, they will continue to happen if we are not prepared against them. So often we say in disaster management, misfortunes enter when window is left open to them, and no one is well prepared until and unless everyone is prepared. So therefore, here the role of all the citizens, all the sections of our society are emphasized that we have to make our contributions, and also approach which was followed during COVID-19, the whole of society and whole of government and whole of systems have to be followed in this endeavor as well. So I wish all the best to the distinguished speakers, and also like to thank them for joining with us and sparing their precious time, as well as would be disseminating their rich knowledge, experience, ideas, and innovations in terms of environment, industries, and disaster risk reductions. I would also like to thank all the participants who have joined with us on this occasion and wish them all safe, healthy, good quality life on an equitable, justifiable, and right-based manner with good fraternity amongst all of us. But mind it, this cannot be a one-day's event. We have to continue and sustain this process in a proactive manner, in a continuous manner with all our efforts. As Vivekanand ji had said, that stop not till the goal is achieved. So we have a long destination to follow, a long roadmap to follow to reach to our goals of zero casualty, disaster free, and resilient nation in terms of environmental sustenance and disaster free country. With these words, I think I thank the organizing team and wish them also all the best, and urge you all the participants to make it bilateral by asking questions and discussion oriented as well as interactive webinar. Thank you very much. Back to you, Afrin ji. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your wonderful thoughts and views with us. So we would like to begin the session today with Mr. Jagdish Vatapalli. He is advisor at the Center for Safety Engineering, IIT Gujarat. He started his career as a fire safety professional at Chennai Petroleum. Then he worked in Reliance Industries Limited, Hazira Surat, as a fire and safety manager, which is the largest petrochemical complex. He led fire safety efforts to mitigate fires, gas leaks, and enhancing safety operations to ensure the safety of the plants. Revamping of fire protection systems in major hazard areas as a fire marshal in GSFC Baroda. He also led the India Product Certification business and ensured ease of global trade, clients, and stakeholders, and worked on passive fire protection projects with research as UL Head of Business Development and India Regional Office. Over to you, sir.
Thank you and welcome everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Jagdish and thank you for the introduction. I just want to talk about a few things that have happened in the recent past which have affected environment badly. And as a citizen of the country and citizen of this universe, it's each of one has a moral responsibility to ensure that we all take do our due diligent efforts to ensure that the environment is protected. So, firstly, I want to share a PowerPoint presentation of mine. Unfortunately, I am not able to connect for some reason. So what I do is I'll continue my talk without the presentation, and I will see to that I'm able to do the communication as possible. Okay, there are two landmark incidents that have taken place which have affected environment badly, and I just want to highlight these two incidents. One is the world's largest oil spill in the United States. That's the New Horizon leakage, which is in the Gulf of Mexico, which most of you know that it was catastrophic and how badly it impacted the environment around us. The second more important thing which I like to talk about, air pollution. All of you know that the Bhopal gas tragedy, as Dr. Surya Prakash just mentioned, that what impact the Bhopal tragedy had on the codes, regulation, and the enforcement of new rules and new changes. So for many people in India, 1984 disaster was the game changer in terms of new rules and regulation, and the cognizance of the fact that the government initiated a large number of steps by ensuring that we protect our environment. As I move to the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, it's very important to know that the Deepwater Horizon spill took place in the Gulf of Mexico in 2010 August. Okay, and I don't say the culprit, the actual incident took place when British Petroleum (BP) and Halliburton, the contractor, they were actually looking into an oil well where they had positioned about 5,000 feet deep, and they were doing the drilling when there was a surge of natural gas which blasted to the concrete and recently installed by the contractor. This was the gas blast which actually ruptured the whole of the pipeline, and that sent the oil spillage. First, there was a fire. In the fire, about 11 people died and about 17 got injured. And then there was the gas and there was the oil leakage. This oil leakage impacted the whole of Gulf. Okay, it impacted the marine life. Impacted the ecosystem. It also impacted the quality of water, and directly, indirectly, it also impacted the economy of a few states in the United States. Okay, all of you know that the Gulf of Louisiana, where the port is there and where the oil ships they do come in and they offload and the raw materials and move around the place. These are the places which are badly affected by this leakage. Okay, so what happened was when this 11 workers got killed and 17 got injured. Okay, the rig capsized and sank, and the volume of oil escaped in and the damage well, and this spread into the sea. As per British Petroleum, the leakage was 1,000 barrels a day. Okay, but whereas the US officials put it at 60,000 barrels a day. So just imagine the dispute that took place between the officials of British Petroleum and the US officials. So 60,000 barrels a day leaking into the thing. It is just a very high magnitude. So if you see in total the amount of oil leakage, oil that leaked in the couple of months there in the Gulf of Mexico, it was 49 lakh barrels. Okay, it is just a huge number, and all of you should know that one barrel is 160 liters. So if you do the maths, you get about 7,84,000 cubic meter of spillage. And if you put it in an equivalent to storage tanks of 40-meter dia, they come to about 20 storage tanks. And 20 storage tanks themselves is a mini ocean. So in an ocean, which is the Antarctic Ocean, you also had a mini leakage, and that really impacted the marine life out there. So what happened was this marine life spread over an estimated of 1,700 kilometers. Just for all of you to know that the distance from Delhi to Hyderabad also is 1,700 kilometers. You can get an idea as to the dimension in which this disaster took place. Okay, so after that, what happened was after a couple of months when they put out the fire and they tried to arrest, then they found that the oil and tar balls they made a landfall in beaches of Florida, which was quite a huge distance. So they found it very difficult to keen. Marine life was lost. People lost employment, because they couldn't. People who were dependent on fishing, they couldn't do that. And even the marine life was affected. The pelicans, which were there on the seashore, they were all drenched with oil, and most of them were actually rehabilitated by local people who took them out and sort of rehabilitated them by cleaning them. So this was a very bad thing that happened. So what is that we all should know from disaster mitigation point of view? Whenever you have natural resources being exploited, okay, you have to pay a price for it. You have to pay a price for it by some sort of an explosion, by some sort of damage to the environment. Okay, you make a bridge and you remove the marshlands, or you try to do something with the ecosystem. Again, you have to pay a price for it. So what is happening is, as we go and hit new resources, we tend to be more innovative. In the guise of this innovation, we also affect the environment badly. So this is what happened in British Petroleum. Okay, and British Petroleum created a $20 billion compensation, and this fund went on from up to 2013, and after that the funds got depleted again. They put another 10 billion US dollars. So still there are 2-3 legal cases going on between the Environmental Protection Association of the US and the British Petroleum, which has not yet come to a consensus. But so far, the British Petroleum has spent about $30 billion on the whole thing. So it is not easy. $30 billion is an economy of many small countries we have here around us. And this is one of the biggest oil spill leakage which has taken place, and you won't believe that even to some shores of Africa, this spillage had actually reached. So if you are in a country and the environment is affected, don't think that you are only damaging the environment of your country. It can also go to the neighboring country too. Most of you would also remember that Indonesia had a had volcano. The ashes of the volcano hit Singapore and Malaysia because the dust, the dirt, everyone, and people started wearing face masks, and people went after Indonesia to actually do something for their environment. Unfortunately, environment is not a single body responsibility. It is a collective responsibility of the whole of the ecosystem that we are in. So this is about a short overview about the oil spillage in Louisiana. They call the deep horizon this thing. And most of you can see the link. It's actually, I have a link. I'll share the PPT to GIDM. You can go to the link, you get all the details of it. So in total, this number should be always kept with, which is the $30 billion compensation which went through it, okay? And for air pollution, I'll just come to Bhopal gas tragedy now. So all of you know, the Bhopal gas tragedy took place in 1984, December 2 to 3 midnight.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Sorry to interrupt you. Sir, can you please share your presentation?
I will share right away. Can you give me your email ID, please? Hold on. I think NIDM, correct? I have it. I'll just share
Yes, sir.
it.
You can
Because
also
the
share
presentation,
you can also
so
share on my WhatsApp. So
I'm just
I
sending
will
you.
present here.
I'm just writing right away by email. So just a minute. I just sent you the email. So I just want to share with all of you that this Bhopal gas tragedy was one of the most I mean, it was the most tragic thing for the country, Okay, I'm just asking my colleague in NIDM to actually post it on, just host it on the screen. Did you get it? Did you receive it?
No, sir. I don't get. Sir, can you please share on my WhatsApp?
I'll do that. I'll just do that.
Mm.
Just a minute, please. I'm sorry for this slight hold up.
Okay, no issue, sir. You can take time.
I'm just sending it across because I know people are just waiting. I just feel bad about it. I should have done that. I thought since I joined, I would be able to host it, but unfortunately, it didn't get through. Can you check your mail now? Hold on. Just a minute, please. Just a minute, please. Just a minute. I'm just not able to get the. I'm sorry for this. Sincere apologies for. Yeah, I've sent it to your email, NIDM email, and also your WhatsApp. But WhatsApp is going very slow because it's a large file. It's a 12 MB file, so it's taking some time. Can you just reboot your email and see if it's come?
No, sir. I don't get.
Just see. It's just taking some time, no? Okay, what I'll do is I'll just continue. As you get it, you can host it, okay? So that I don't want people to just be be waiting for that thing. I'll just continue my talk. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
You would get it. You would get it on your email. Just see. The WhatsApp is going very slow because the 12 MB file, but the email has already gone to your mailbox. If you can have a look into it. Okay.
Sir,
So
I would like to interrupt because NIC mail takes time to deliver the email, so that's why it is taking long.
I understand. I just tried hosting it, to share the screen, but unfortunately, this WebEx is something new to us, and it's gone into another mode. So I think just a minute. I'm trying my best. Just hold on, please. Just hold on. Okay. Just see, if you got the mail. If you can just reboot it and see if you got the mail. I'm sorry, participants, I should have done this earlier, but I thought it would be
No,
easy
sir.
to share, but
Sir, could
unfortunately,
you please share from your system?
I did share from my system only. I did share. I was talking. Okay, the WhatsApp has gone. Can you have a look?
Okay, sir.
You got it?
Yes, sir, I got it.
Okay, can you host it if possible on the
Yes, sir,
screen?
just a second.
Just a second, yeah.
Mm.
You can start it from the beginning, and I'll just have a fast forward till the Bhopal tragedy. I can just so that you can share it with all the participants. There's nothing confidential about it. The more people read it, the more people know about it. It's better for the environment. Could you get it, ma'am? Yeah, I think I shall go through ahead the presentation before they set it up to ensure that we are. Okay, you got it. Fine. Okay, this is my slide. Can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. The next slide. Okay, this is the two things I talked about: the world's largest oil spill and the Bhopal tragedy, as told by Surya Prakash. Next slide, please. Next slide. Just go to the next slide. Is there a hold up there? Okay, gentlemen, as this goes on, I'll just go ahead with my presentation because we are sort of short of time too. So I'll just take you to the. Okay, I think they got it on. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah. Okay, this is the deep water horizontal. Next one, please. Yeah, this is the Gulf of Mexico. Go ahead, please. Next one. Next. Okay, this is, you can share it with all the participants so that they know the context of what I spoke. Go ahead, the next one, please. Okay, this is okay. Just go to the previous one. I just wanted to show about these pelicans. There were about close to 20,000 species like pelicans. They were all soaked with oil in the beaches of Florida, and the environmental group, they took out the pelicans, and then they ensured that the pelicans are clean, and they sort of made sure that they were back and healthy. So this is the impact of the oil spillage on marine life. Next, please. Next slide. Yeah. So this is the link which the previous one. Just I want to show the people the link, the participant the link. You can just go to the link and you can get the details of the environmental impact that has actually taken place because of the oil spillage in the Gulf of Mexico. Next one. Yeah, this is the Bhopal gas study, the iconic symbolization out there that we want to, the people that they're saying that we want to live. Even today, there is an impact on the health of many of the people because of the MIC leakage. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is where the whole thing happened. 3,800 people died, and because of 40 tons of leakage of methyl isocyanate. And that tank you see on the picture, that tank is the dreaded tank. It is the culprit, because from this tank only the methyl isocyanate leaked out. There were two failures. Failure one was the entry of water. The water should not have gone inside. That created an exothermic reaction. And another failure was the cooling system, the ammonia plant, which actually was not able to dissipate the heat out. So failure to protect water ingressing into this tank 710, lack of resilience system led them into the blowout to the cold flare. Now this cold flare is a flare that is about it is close located to the edge of the factory, and from the edge of the factory it went out, and most of the people were unaware as to what leaked out, and this led to about 3,800 people dying. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the aftermath of the leakage. The good thing, the one thing that really came out, I don't say the good thing, it was a bit late. The one thing that came out was, in Bhopal, when this happened, people didn't know what was leaking. Neither the officials knew, except Union Carbide plant. Nobody outside, nor the hospitals, nor the people knew this. So post this, there was one important thing that came out in the rules of the factory inspector, is the mandatory disclosure of chemicals being handled in a plant, and that has to be given to the government and the district collector. And this mandatory disclosure, even today it works. And the good thing today is, if you go to a district officer in Delhi, he can tell you what are the hazardous chemicals that are there in the industries around him, because they made it mandatory after 1984 that a disclosure is required. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. See, this is the paradox of our time. When India had this biggest leakage, okay, we had 3,800 deaths, okay. The compensation by Union Carbide India Limited was only 0.5 billion, okay. Whereas because of the clout of US, British Petroleum had to put out 20 billion US dollars plus another additional 30 billion US dollars for the loss of 11 lives. Of course, impact on the marine, but for the loss of 11 lives. So if you see 11 to 3,800, you can see the difference in compensation. This is basically because at that point of time we didn't have the clout to really bargain or get what we wanted. But whereas US really took the British Petroleum into task and got their own due. So even now also British Petroleum is paying money to the US to ensure that the marine life returns to normalcy. But this is the paradox of our time that we all have to live in. Next, please. Okay, I just like to conclude on two things, which is very important statistically, is the World Bank estimates that by 2030, okay, the output of developing countries would go about 5 times higher than by the year 2000. 5 times higher, we will have an output. Now, what happens if the industrial output comes from industrial countries? This is definitely going to impact the environmental pollution. They say that the environmental pollution will rise at the same pace. Severe environmental hardships would occur. Tens of millions of people will become sick or die from an environmental causes, and the planet would be significantly irreparably harmed. Yet the economic growth and sound environment management are not incompatible. So here you have two things, like your balance. You have a balance of an industrial growth. On the other side, apart from the industrial growth, you have the impact on the environment. So to have the right balance is what the key for us to maintain environment of peace. So each one as a citizen of this country, each one as a learned person, it's our duty to take over this mantle of ensuring that there is an environment of peace. And at IIT Gandhinagar at Center for Safety Engineering, we are doing a number of research projects on basically the environmental impact analysis by a chemical engineering team. And if anyone's interested, I would definitely share with you. And I also welcome you to this place and ensure that and make sure that you people are getting a first-hand information about the EIA that we do at IIT Gandhinagar. With this, I conclude, and I like to apologize for the slight delay on hosting the deck. I also request NIDM to share my presentation to all the participants who have come today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your insightful and wonderful thoughts with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to request Mr. Jayant Roshan. He is a mid-level consultant at the Department of Chemical and Petrochemicals in BSDME. He has done MTech from NIT Surat in chemical engineering. His main work are as follows: accident investigation of chemical industries, coordinating with different departments for the successful completion of the Mukhyamantri School Safety Program, policy framework for state level guidelines implementation, development of training materials for training capacity building, etc., finalization of DDMPs and city disaster management plan. Before BSDMA, he worked in NDMA and provided CBRN hazards to airport, seaport, chemical industries, and civil administration. He also coordinated in development of training materials for chemical hazards training, accident investigation of chemical industries. He also worked in Mitra Private Limited, Gandhidham and Disaster Management Institute and worked on safety audits. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are clearly audible.
Okay. Can you please share my presentation from your side?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, all. So I am Jayant Roshan, as ma'am has introduced. Actually, currently, earlier I was with BSDMA, and now currently I am with the Chemical Ministry. So there is one department called Department of Chemicals and Petrochemicals. So where I am working as a mid-level consultant. So before that one also I was with NDMA, that is National Disaster Management Authority, as the NIDM has came after DM Act, that is Disaster Management Act. Similarly, from the DM Act, the one authority came that is called National Disaster Management Authority. So I worked over there as a chemical consultant. Prior to that, I was working with the chemical for the chemical safety and all with the DMI, BSDMA, and other organizations. So today, as the World Environment Day, we will discuss something like how the chemical disaster is impacting on the environment, different aspects of the environment, different components of the environment. So, ma'am, can you please share? It's not visible. Yeah, next slide. Yeah. As the Jagdish sir, I also discussed about this one. There are various impact on the due to if any chemical hazards or the chemical accidents occur. There are various types of the impact on the environment, like the water pollution, the air pollution, soil contamination, biodiversity loss, sometimes long-term environment, persistent chemicals are there, ecological disruptions are there, and environment remediation. So all these are that can happen due to the any chemical accident or the disaster. So as the sir has also discussed and has shown the impact of the some leakage due to the BP accident also. So you can see the extent, and sir has also described the distance that these spills travel, and the impact of this spill can be seen. So from these two pictures, you can see the impact that how due to the spillage, how long it travels and how much it can impact the and it can create the water pollution. So, and there are few chemicals which can persist in the environment for long time also. So there are some equipments like in the right picture you can see there are few methods that the oil spillage, whenever the oil spillage happen, then that spillage is being removed from that and the impact and the time taken for the cleanup of these water pollution or the chemicals or the spillage is very long. So it is better that these chemicals should not spill into the either the sea or the any water pollution, water bodies. So these are the some kind of negative impact for that. Next slide. Yeah. Then there are some like soil contamination. So in India also and many places it has been observed that due to some chemical, if it is not disposed of correct, so that can the soil that can contaminate the soil. It can go inside the soil also and can reach to the water bodies also. So these kind of situation has also is visible in some parts of the Gujarat also. So this Ankleshwar belt. So the government has conducted some surveys and they have found that the water level or the water bodies in those areas got some kind of the traces of the various hazardous chemicals that are manufacturing in those areas. So if the proper handling or the proper disposal of the chemicals is not taken care, then these can create long-term impact and can contaminate the soil also. Uh, Similarly, you all may have heard.
Sorry, sir, but there is some background noises coming from your side. So I request you, please.
Actually, I'm in office, maybe some distance, but I will try to. Am I audible clearly now?
Yes, sir, you are clearly audible.
Okay. So these kind of if these chemicals is not being handled properly, so that can contaminate the soil also. Like also in the right picture also you can see that we are seeing we may have seen this kind of scenes in many area that various this hazards, not only hazards also, but sometimes the the different chemicals or used chemicals or is being thrown out in the the beans area. So whenever these are collected and if it is not properly segregated, means hazardous chemical or any chemicals is not being properly segregated from the normal way, then that chemical can go inside the soil also, can reach to the water body, and then it can create really and it can travel very far away and can damage the water bodies also. So these soil contamination is also one of the impact of any hazardous chemical. And in Ankleshwar belt also, in Kanpur also, you may have heard that there was some leather factory and different other factory in Kanpur area, and from there they were not using the proper segregation, proper classification of the hazardous chemical, and they were throwing that chemicals either in the river Ganga, or they were disposing of those kind of hazardous chemical nearby. So that created the lots of problem in those areas. So this is also one kind of the impact, and it is very hazardous sometimes and very toxic also sometimes. Next. Yeah. So, sir, I also discussed the Bhopal gas tragedy. I will also discuss two incidents. So these are the recent two incidents. Means in 2020, you may have heard during the lockdown, one accident that happened in Vizag. There was LG polymer accidents. So what happened over here, that one styrene gas they are using. So because of the some faulty system in their tank and then cooling system, they were not able to control the temperature, and then exothermic reaction happened, and auto means chain reaction started, and because of that their all the systems that were supposed to prevent the gas leakage were not working. That this gas came out during the night, and because of this, approximately 13 people died in this kind of in this incident, and then approximately more than 300 people were injured. They were hospitalized, and then after some times they were released. The impact in some suppose if there is a contamination for soil, then the impact zone is very limited. Suppose there is some, then maybe the impact zone is very limited, means some 100 meter, 200 meter, 300 meter, depending on the nature of the fire or the blast. But when the air pollution or the some air this kind of exposure of the toxic gas is released, then depending on the wind, suppose the wind is blowing on any side, so the depending on the wind and the amount of that toxic gas, this can reach far, and then the impact is really very high. So in this case also, in the Vizag LG polymer incident, approximately 2 to 3 kilometer the impact zone was there. So when there is one report also that is available on the Andhra government website also. You may go and refer this one. So the nearby area, the many trees, approximately half a kilometer, 1 kilometer away also got damaged. So these kind of incidents, when the air pollution or this kind of hazardous chemicals emits to any region, then the impact can be seen and can be felt not only in the adjacent area, but also much beyond the area where these incidents happen. In the right side, there is one more accident that was that happened in August 2020. It is at Beirut, Lebanon. So what happened over here? The ammonium nitrate blast happened. So the ammonium nitrate was seized by the port authority over there, and after approximately this ammonium nitrate was uh, stored over there for 5 to 6 years over there. And what happens, that ammonium nitrate should not mix with the water. By any chance, if it is mixing, then it becomes very hazardous. It can blast. If the any fire fire particle, means any fire, it will receive any fire, then it become as a kind of bomb, and it can blast. And the same situation occurred over there, and in this incident, approximately 200 people died over there, and more than 5 lakhs people got injured, because the impact of this incident was felt in whole of Beirut. this the port area. You can see the whole port area was approximately damaged, and the impact zone was approximately more than 6 to 7 kilometers. So you can see the impact depending upon the hazardous nature of the chemical and the incident. It can really reach to very distant area, not only to adjacent area. Sometimes chemical incidents, sometimes the nearby area got damaged, but due to the some gas leakage or this kind of blast, the impact zone can reach very high. Next. Yeah. Then there is biodiversity loss. What is biodiversity loss? So, as we have discussed, that not only the air but the soil, then other aspects of the environment can damage because of the different hazardous chemical. So, chemical disaster can have a detrimental impact on biodiversity. Contamination of ecosystem can result in the loss of plant, animal species, disrupt ecological balance, and degrade habitats. So the loss of plants, you can see this Vizag incident. When you will see the report of that one, you can visualize that approximately 2 to 3 kilometer distance area, all the plants were damaged and that got destroyed. So the nearby, all the animal species in the nearby area got impacted. So these kind of uh, accidents or sometimes it is turned as a disaster also. If the impact is very high, then it will come as a disaster. So when these kind of incidents occur, then not only it impact that industry or the nearby people, but it also impacts the different aspects of the biodiversity. And because of these, the long-term consequences, like in Bhopal, so though there is continuous research is going on, the studies are going on for the Bhopal gas tragedy. Today also, there are some experts over there who are monitoring the health, the impact on the water bodies, the environmental impact. So all those things persist till now. So Bhopal gas tragedy occurred in 1984, and the research and the studies are going on till now. So you can see that the long-term consequences of these kind of disaster, uh, and like in the nuclear one, chemical one, the hazardous chemical, also that the impact is sustained during for a long term. Next. So as I have discussed in the last slide, so these are few persistent organic pollutants. These are called POPs. So these POPs can last very long, and these are certain chemicals such as these POP like DDT, endosulfan, dioxins, polychlorinated biphenyls. So these are the chemicals which can sustain very long. The DDT is banned for agriculture use in India, but continues to be used as a fumigation against mosquitoes. DDT is banned in most of the countries. Now, Indian government is also thinking of banning this one. But as soon as the replacement of these one we get, this may be banned in near future. So these kind of chemicals, when used, can impact the environment in long term. And like some heavy metals persist in the environment for years, accumulating in the soil, water, organisms. These substances pose ongoing threats to ecosystem and can have long-lasting impact on the human and environment health. Next. Similarly, the ecological disruption. Chemical disaster can disrupt ecological process and relationship with the ecosystem. Suppose like this parali burning, which is going on in the nearby area of the Delhi, in the Punjab area, Haryana area. Why the government is so keen on stopping that? Because when the farmer burn that parali, so it will not only burn that plant residual, but also kill some insecticides, some which is beneficial for the plantation. So when such kind of some chemicals are in terms of fertilizers are being used, that also disrupt their ecological ecosystem, and because of that it will maybe beneficial for 1 or 2 years for that fertilizer, but when the ecological ecosystem is disturbed, then it will impact the land health in long term. So because of that, in fertilizer, many chemicals have been banned. Earlier that was used for the fertilizer, but now those chemicals have been banned now, and the replacement of the safer chemicals are now being used for the fertilizer industry. So the loss of key species or the introduction of toxic substance can lead to imbalance affecting predator-prey relationship, pollination, and other vital ecological interaction. Next. Now, if such chemicals or the spillage happens, then what is the procedure? So these are the cleanup area, means cleanup and remediation effort that is required on industrial base, on industrial in industrial area. On the left side, you can see some kind of soaking material is there. So those are being used to clean up those chemicals, and so that the impact of that one should not go beyond certain area. In case of this spillage in the some sea or any water body, that is also some kind of boom or some kind of material being used to clean up those things. But it involves contamination or released chemicals. So remediation and restoration of affected ecosystem can go not only for 1 days or months, but it can go for sometimes years also. The process of recovery can take years and even decades, depending on the extent of damage. Next. So important to note that the specific environment impact of the chemical disaster can vary widely based on the circumstances of the incident, and prompt response, effective emergency management, and implementation of preventive measures are crucial in mitigating these environmental consequences of such disaster. So these are the various aspects of the chemical disaster. Its negative impact on different biodiversity, different aspects of like water, air, soil, and other things. So based on that, it is very necessary that the chemical disaster should not happen. The process should be such, or the management should be such, that those lapses can be uh, removed, or it should not. There should be some mechanism so that those kind of situations should not arise. Because of that, various regulations that Jagdish sir also discussed came up after the Bhopal gas tragedy, because the before Bhopal gas tragedy, not only in India but all over the world, the chemical safety was an issue, but not as prominent as it became after the Bhopal gas tragedy. So after Bhopal case study in India also, so our government has come up with EP Act, that is Environment Protection Act. In that act, then came the rule, that is MS and IC rule 1989. In that rule, different hazardous chemical, how to handle that one, how to process that one, those and the disaster, how to mitigate the disaster, those have been laid down in that rules. After that came the CAEPPR rule. Then came this Disaster Management Act, under which this NDMA, NIDM, and NDRF. So you all may have seen the effort of the NDRF in various disasters. Not only the recent one is the railway accident at Odisha. Not only there, but in many flood area, flood situation, chemical disaster. So NDRF do have some specific unit in all the those are at various location in strategic location in India. Though the personals are trained in to handle the different kind of chemical accidents. Whenever the chemical accidents happen, the district administration or the industry also sometimes contact with the NDRF. Their personnel come and they rescue the rescue the or the douse the fire or help in the rescue operation. So it is all the government is also trying, and the some large industry also is also focusing on reducing these kind of disasters so that the impact on the environment can be minimized or neglected. So that's all from my side. Thank you. If anyone have any question, you can ask.
Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting the long-term impacts of environmental and industrial disaster risk reduction and sharing your experience with our participants. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
And now I would like to request from Mr. Ajit Batham. He's a young professional at NIDM. Over to you, sir.
Um, Thank you, Ms. Afreen, for inviting me. So, on the occasion of World Environment Day, first of all, I would like to congratulate to all. We come together as a global community to celebrate and cherish the beauty and vitality of our planet. So, this day, serves as a reminder of the urgent need to protect and preserve our environment for future generation as well. Ms. Afrin, could you please confirm whether my presentation is visible on full screen?
Yes, sir, it is visible, but not on full screen.
Okay, but here I am seeing this on full screen at my screen.
Okay, sir, you can continue. It
Okay,
is clearly visible. Well,
okay. So I would be talking about some, general phenomena about the industrial disaster and its management. And I will also discuss about the various act and that are being, imposed for this to deal with the industrial disaster along with its impact on the environmental. So an industrial accident is a serious event that involves hazardous materials and that can have consequences for the surrounding population and environment. So depending on the nature of the product involved, and the accident can take the form of in the form of fire, explosion, or the emission of toxic and radioactive material. So the severe events that result from industrial mishaps are known as the industrial catastrophe, and they could lead to property damage, environmental degradation, human and animal injury or death as well. So such catastrophe can be categorized as routine. First, we can categorize as a routine catastrophe. They are mostly understood by the expert and pose the greatest hazard of industrial disaster. So issues can be handled with ease by following accepted guidelines and procedures. The other catastrophe we can define as a disaster that comes as a surprise. Example of this includes the Chernobyl accident in the Ukraine. We all very much aware of it. So here the major sectors that comes in the industries like energy and power, petroleum, gas and chemicals, metals, minerals and steel, cement, coal, defense production, telecom and information technology, automobiles, textiles, and many more. Just a minute. So, how industrial accident could be generated? Like the first thing is that can be initiated that any industrial accident is manufacturing and formulation plants. So manufacturing and formulation installation, including during commissioning and process operations, like also maintenance and disposals. The second thing is the material handling and storage. So material handling and storage in manufacturing facilities and isolated storage, warehouse and godowns, including tank farms in ports and docks and fuel depots as well. The next thing is that the transportation, and it includes road, rail, air, water, and pipelines as well. So this is how an industrial, the possibility of ignite of industrial accident could be understood by these terms. The probable cause of accident could be like a process deviation. If I talk about process deviation, that is the pressure, temperature, and flow. The next thing is the parameter with regard to the state of the substance, that is solid, liquid, or gas, proximity to other toxic substance, runaway actions, and also hardware failures resulting in large-scale spills of toxic substance, boiling liquid, expanding vapor explosion on the chemical during transportation, also electrical failure, cutting and welding, open flame, carelessness, poor housekeeping, smoking, and sabotage. These are the probable cause of industrial accident. And what are the major threats if we talk in terms of industrial disasters? These are like fire, explosions, toxic release, and poisoning, and it could also be a combination of all the above. So the impact of industrial accident in the how it impact in the living organism and environment. Here you can see through this picture. So the industrial disaster can have a profound and far-reaching impact on the environment. So these catastrophic event often caused by accident, equipment failure, or human error, and can release hazardous substance, pollutants, and also the toxins into the air, water, or soil, air, water, and soil. Also, the consequences of such disaster can be devastating. leading to widespread population, habitat destruction, and loss of biodiversity. So airborne pollutants contribute to the deterioration of air quality, posing health risks to humans, animals, and plants alike. So water bodies and aquatic ecosystems suffer from contamination with devastating effects on marine life and water resources as well. And also the soil pollution not only affect the fertility of the land, but can also contaminate crops and enter the food chain, posing a long-term risk to human health. The impact of industrial disaster on the environment serves as a stark reminder of the importance of stringent safety measures, responsible industrial practices, and also effective disaster management protocol to prevent and mitigate such incidents as well. Uh, so this is just I have taken small data from the Gujarat State Disaster Management Plan, and it says you can see that around 20-35% of the total major accidental hazard units in the country are located in the Gujarat itself. Also, presently has a 514 major accidental hazard prone industrial unit, that is MAH, and all these pose toxic leaks risk, and over 80% are prone to fire explosion risk, and almost the entire range of the chemical process industry exists in Gujarat in the form of hydrocarbon processing, refining products, petrochemicals, polymers, and made fibers, fertilizers, healthcare products, plants protection, and plant protection chemicals, and many more. So this is just I wanted to give you a glimpse of MH. So I have taken this from GSDMP data. So chemical disaster is also a part of industrial disaster. So I have added just a glimpse of chemical disaster as well. So how it can be defined, a chemical disaster refers to a catastrophic event that involving the release of or exposure to hazardous chemical that pose severe risk to human health, the environment, the surrounding communities. These disasters can occur in various settings such as industrial facilities, transportation accident, or even deliberate acts of sabotage. So the consequences of a chemical disaster can be devastating, leading to immediate injuries or fatalities, long-term health effects, environmental contamination, and disruption of social and economical activities as well. Handling chemical hazard is also taken very serious. So handling a chemical hazard is of paramount importance to ensure the safety of individuals and the environment. First and foremost, it is crucial to have a comprehensive understanding comprehensive understanding of the specific chemical involved, including their properties, potential risk, and recommended safety measures also. Adequate training and education should be provided to all the personnel involved in handling chemicals, emphasizing the importance of following proper protocols and procedures as well. So this includes wearing appropriate personal protective equipment, that is PPE, such as gloves, goggle, and lab coats, as well as ensuring proper ventilation and containment of the hazardous substance. Furthermore, chemical storage should be carefully organized with the clear labeling and segregation of incompatible substance. Regular inspection and maintenance of equipments and storage area are necessary to identify and rectify any potential hazard promptly. This could be the compounding effect, like speed of the wind, rate of precipitation, toxicity, population in the reach of release, probability of formation of lethal mixtures and other industrial activities being performed in the closer vicinity. So here I have also listed down some major industrial disaster in the recent uh, uh, years recorded in India. The first already discussed by the previous speakers like LG Polymer in Visakhapatnam, and that killed 12 people. How it happened, like a leakage of a poisonous gas. Similarly, steel mill rolling unit in Annapuram district, poisonous gas was leaked and it caused 6 worker death. In the year 2010, a Mayapuri radiological incident was happened due to the radioactive radiation leakage. So basically, it was an unused researcher in irradiator was deassembled in 2010 at a scrapyard in Delhi's Mayapuri by workers who were not aware of its radioactive nature. So that happened. And then in the year 2009, the Jaipur fire at the Jaipur oil depot, it caused 12 deaths. It happened due to explosion. So the oil store owner owned by the Indian Oil Company in Rajasthan had this industrial accident in 2009, and it caused 12 fatalities and further injuries over a week, which was required to put out the fire. 5 lakh people were evacuated from that particular area. In the year 2009, there was a chimney collapse in the Korba due to the poor construction, and it caused 45 construction workers dead. Uh, uh, work the chimney for chimney of a thermal plant in Chhattisgarh that was under Balco's contract was fell, and the rescue operation were hampered by extreme weathers as well. And how we could forget about the 1984 Bhopal gas tragedy? We must all aware of this, and that the greatest industrial accident in the history is through to have occurred, as I said, in the 1984 when a gas leakage occurred at the Union Carbide India Limited pesticide facility. So, like the breach in Vizag, Visakhapatnam, this one happened in the early hours and had an impact on more than 5 lakh people. The next is Chasnala mining disaster. This is also a very big disaster, industrial disaster. We can say it happened due to the methane gas explosion. So in the year 1975, a coal mine in Jharkhand experienced the Chasnala mining accident, one of the worst in India's mining history. A pocket of methane gas was ignited by malfunctioning equipment, which caused an explosion. And the mine collapse caused by the explosion allowed millions of gallons of water from a nearby reservoir to enter. And due to that explosion, due to that explosion, mine collapse or reservoir flooding, it caused around 700 people died. Similarly, far away in the past, in the Bombay dock explosion, it caused 800 died. So in Mumbai, Victoria Port in 1944, a cargo carrying weapons exploded and killing more than 800 people. Following the explosion that damaged the neighborhood boats, including the numerous Navy warships, several nearby economical developed districts, and the shower of flaming debris that caused fires to erupt in the nearby slums as well. So this is some major industrial disasters that happen in India. And this is recently I would like to put here that recently Professor Surya Prakash along with the team has conducted a training program in the Bhopal, and there we got the opportunity to visit that Bhopal gas tragedy plant, that Union Carbide plant. So these are the real picture taken by our team members. So this is how it looks these days. Now, this is again something legal safeguard against industrial chemical disaster in India. The first thing is the Bhopal Gas Leak Processing of Claims Act 1985, which gives power to the central government to secure the claims arising out of or connected with the Bhopal gas tragedy. Under the provision of this act, such claims are dealt with speedily and equitably. The next legal safeguard is the Environmental Protection Act 1986, which gives power to the central government to undertake measures for improving the environment and set standards and inspect industrial unit uh, frequently. The next is hazardous waste management handling and transboundary movement rules 1989. That implies the industry required to identify major accident hazards, take preventive measures, and submit a report to the designated authorities as well. Also, there is a Public Liability Insurance Act 19. Yes. No, sorry. Manufacture, storage, and import of hazardous chemical rules, 1989. So it implies that the importer must furnish complete product safety information to the competent authority and must transport imported chemicals by the amended rules. The next is the Public Liability Insurance Act 1991, and it implies that which is an insurance meant to provide relief to person affected by accident that occurs while handling hazardous substance. The next is the chemical accident, like Emergency Planning, Preparedness and Response Rules 1996. It states that the center is required to constitute a central crisis group for the management of chemical accidents, set up a quick response mechanism terms, the crisis alert system. Each state is required to set up a crisis group and report on its work as well. The next is the National Environment Appellant Authority Act 1997, and it implies that the under this act, which the National Environment Appellant Authority can hear appeals regarding the restriction of area in which any industry operations or process of class of industries uh, operation or process shall not be carried out or shall be carried out subject to certain safeguard under the Environmental Protection Act 1986. The next thing is the National Green Tribunal 2010. It provides for the establishment of the National Green Tribunal for effective and expeditious disposal of case related to environmental protection and conservation of forest. So the action plan for the industrial disaster management could be the preparation of on-site emergency plan by the factories itself. There should also be off-site emergency plan at the district level. Also, the departmental disaster management plan should be also ready by the concerned department. regular conducting of on-site and off-site mock drill could be included in the action plan. Also, convening the district crisis group meeting. This is the apex committee at the district level to deal with the such chemical or industrial emergency. Similarly, convening the state crisis group meeting. Also, the preparation of the state level industrial disaster management plan, and it should also be uploaded in the web portal of the concerned uh, factory, or we can say industry. So these are the images of on-site and off-site. We can also have awareness program for the community where we can taught them that what to do during emergency, understanding of emergency sirens, and also the knowledge of chemical hazards, which creates off-site scenarios. Emergency number should also be displayed in the near community, and which needs to be contacted. There is also some risk control measures. When we talk about risk control measures, so the first measure is physical protection. So what comes under the physical protection? Like strict approach in following the relevant standards, codes, and practices. Like here you can see the National Building Code. The building should be made according to the National Building Codes. The next is built-in safety devices and safety system. Okay. The next is the venting through the tall stops. It should also be there. Uh, Field monitoring for different toxic gases should also be there. Also, burning waste gases in a flare system, provision of wind cones, and fireproofing of steel structure, personal protective equipments, passive protection system, active protection system, automatic protection system. So these are the things that are included in the physical protection when we talk about the risk control measure. The next is procedural protection. In this, we can include the fire emergency procedures, disaster management, disaster preparedness plans, mutual aid schemes. If a disaster happened in a particular industry, then the resources or the help can also be taken by the neighbor industry. So this is called industrial mutual aid scheme. Also, there should be a no smoking policy, investigation of all accident, hazard identification through safety committee, housekeeping committee, safety audit committee. Also, conducting plant survey, safety survey, work permit system, safety promotional activities, information notes on unsafe conditions, material safety data sheet should also be present there. Annual medical checkup for employees, safe startup and shutdown of procedure, regular and preventive maintenance. Also, a periodic testing of firefighting appliances can be included in the procedural protection to control the risk at the industry. The next is the educational protection. In this, what we can do, the periodic training programs on safety, fire safety, and hazardous properties of the material can be organized. Fire mock drill can be organized. Safety manuals should be present at the industry. Health and safety new bulletins, leaflets, safety motivational schemes, plant operational manual. Also, educating the public living nearby about the activities in the industries. The adjacent population should also know what's going on in the, I mean, what work is, that industry does, along with the hazardous substance present inside the industry. These are some guidelines issued by the National Disaster Management Authority. It says the National Disaster Management Guidelines for chemical disasters, guidelines on medical preparedness and mass casualty management, guidelines on management of biological disasters, guidelines on management of nuclear and radiological emergencies. Also, National Disaster Management Guideline for management of chemical terrorism disaster, strengthening of safety and security of transportation of POL tankers was also created by the NDM in the year 2010. So this is all about my presentation. Over to you, Ms. Afrin.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your knowledge and wonderful presentation with us. And participants can ask questions with our panelists related to environmental and industrial disaster risk reduction on Environment Day.
Thank you.
There is one question asked by Navdeep Singh. Mr. Jagdish, sir, can you please reply on this question?
Where is the question, ma'am?
He
Can you spell it out?
yes, he has asked डिस्ट्रिक्ट के अंदर कौन चेक करता है कि इस फैक्ट्री के अंदर जो केमिकल की फैक्ट्री है इसमें किसी भी प्रकार की कोई आपदा होने पर निपटने के लिए जो इंडस्ट्री में just a second.
Okay, I think I got his question.
Yes, sir.
I can understand. See, इसमें क्या होता है? District collector is the nodal agency to have all the chemicals. जो chemical जो vicinity में होते हैं इंडस्ट्री में, उनको जो chemicals का है ना, उनके पास रहता है district collector. District collector will again get the information to nodal officer so that there is a understanding between everyone. And also you should note that दूसरी बात ये है कि सब जगह डिसास्टर मैनेजमेंट सेल रहता है. इंडस्ट्री में होगा तो इंडस्ट्री डिसास्टर मैनेजमेंट सेल रहता है, जैसे बड़ौदा हो, जैसे विशाखापट्टनम हो, तो इन सबके पास एक नॉलेज रहता है उन पे. जैसे भोपाल का ट्रेजेडी हुआ, MIC लीक हुआ, किसी को पता नहीं था. विशाखापट्टनम में लीक हुआ, सबको पता है कि स्टाइरेन का कोई बाई प्रोडक्ट लीक हुआ करके. So there is some information. So the district collector and the nodal officers have all the information about the chemicals handled in a factory premises.
And he has asked about the instruments, like जो instruments लगाए हैं वो सही तरह से काम कर रहे हैं या नहीं, उसने कोई firing cement he has asked about this.
Okay, I'll just tell you, see, normally for disasters, instrumentation is a very difficult thing because in a disaster management, only post-disaster, जो post-disaster का आपका जो management है, वही काम आता है. अच्छा, दूसरी बात है, जो इंस्ट्रूमेंट होते हैं, जैसे ऑयल स्पिल में है, ऑयल स्पिल में एक होता है ऑयल डिस्पर्समेंट, और दूसरा है जैसे हमारा स्पीकर चैन दिखाए थे कि वहाँ पे एक बैरिकेड होता है, ये लोग बूम्स लगाते हैं ऑयल स्पिल करके. ये सब बहुत प्रिमिटिव है, बहुत सिंपल इंस्ट्रूमेंट में कोई इंस्ट्रूमेंटेशन है नहीं. So they are very, very easy to handle and they work very well. But what doesn't work very well is जो रिग कंट्रोल BOP होता है, ब्लो प्रिवेंटर होता है रिग्स में, ये सब चीजें ना थोड़ा हाईली इंजीनियरिंग डिजाइन है, उसमें थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम आ सकता है उसमें. That's it from my side.
हाँ, इसमें एक और ये है, जैसा कि उन्होंने पूछा है कि उसमें हर एक साल जो है, जैसे कि MHA रूल है, उसमें एक सेफ्टी ऑडिट का एक प्रोविजंस होता है. ठीक है, तो सेफ्टी ऑफिसर होते हैं उनको एक इंटरनली, और जो MHA रूल्स में जो फैक्ट्री आता है, बट उसमें जो है वो बड़े फैक्ट्री है जो हजारडस केमिकल जो यूज करते हैं वही फैक्ट्री आ पाती है। उसमें जो फैक्ट्री आती है उनको एक एक्सटर्नल ऑडिट करवाना पड़ता है, ठीक है। तो एक ऑडिटर होते हैं जो सेफ्टी ऑडिट करके उनको एक रिपोर्ट देते हैं। उसमें वो जो ऑडिट करते हैं, जैसे कि 2 या मैक्सिमम 2, 3 या 4 दिन का वो ऑडिट होता है, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द साइज ऑफ द इंडस्ट्री। वो जो है इन चीज़ों को देखते हैं, लेकिन उसमें जो एक सेफ्टी ऑफिसर होता है उनका ये मेन काम होता है। अगर वो नहीं करता है तो वो लैप्सेस है, और जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में मेनली DM तो नोडल ऑफिसर होते हैं, और उसमें एक फैक्ट्री इंस्पेक्टर होते हैं जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की तरफ से होते हैं। तो वो जो है इनको फिर उनसे रिपोर्ट मांग सकते हैं, या फिर उनका वो कभी कभी इंस्पेक्शन पे भी जाते हैं और वो उसको चेक करते हैं। तो ये है अभी जो इन्होंने ये पूछा है कि जो बहुत सारी छोटी फैक्ट्रियाँ चल रही हैं, वो जैसे कि MHA रूल्स में भी जो है एक पर्टिकुलर जब साइज का जब इंडस्ट्री होता है या केमिकल्स का एक फिक्स अमाउंट होता है, उससे ऊपर की जो इंडस्ट्री होती है उसके लिए वो एप्लीकेबल है। तो छोटी इंडस्ट्री है उस पे अभी बहुत सारे रेगुलेशन अभी काम नहीं करते हैं, बट जिस DM एक्ट है, डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट एक्ट, वो सभी के लिए है, ऑल अक्रॉस द बोर्ड है। मीन्स आप गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हो, आप प्राइवेट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हो, स्मॉल हो बिग हो, जो भी है, उनको डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट प्लान अपना बनाना है, ये उसका। बट वो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन कितना हो रहा है उसमें कुछ जगह पर भी लैप्सेस हैं, वो धीरे धीरे उसको कंप्लीट किया जा रहा है।
Right. Thank you so much, sir, for elaborating with your comments, both of you. And good afternoon, everyone. It has been such an honor to present a vote of thanks for this wonderful event. On behalf of the NIDM, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude and special thanks to our esteemed keynote speaker, Professor Surya Prakash. And now I would like to sincere thanks to all the panelists, Mr. Jagdish Vatapalli, sir, his advisor in Center for Safety Engineering, IIT Gujarat, Mr. Jayant Roshan, mid-level consultant at the Department of Chemical and Petrochemicals, Mr. Ajit Batham from NIDM, who participated in the event with enriched and amazing discussions with a lot of solid understanding shared among us, and to make this event a memorable one. And finally, I would like to thank all of you present here, especially the participants, for making the time to be with us today and helping us to make this event a grand success. Thanks again, one and all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks.